Hello, it's Tuesday. It's we're a little bit late tonight, actually. It's my fault. I've had a few issues going on, but we're here now, ready to start the regular Tuesday clinic. A lot of good stuff to talk about tonight. Obviously, we're going to look back on the win over Watford at the weekend. We are going to look at Mikel Arteta, of course, 100 games in charge of Arsenal, ups and downs of that spell. So we'll have a look back on some of those good and bad moments as well. There will be an archive season as normal. As you can see from his shirt, it's going to be 2011-2012, which was the season Mikel Arteta first joined the club as a player. So it's quite relevant as well. And also as well, there is, of course, a movie coming out very, very soon about a certain team that didn't lose a game for quite some time. But no doubt we will talk about that as well. So this is the Tuesday clinic coming up the other side of this. So the Tuesday clinic, then we have got a great panel. I know the intro had Dorsey on. Unfortunately, he can't make it tonight. We have got a special guest who's replacing him, actually, which is exciting. So we will introduce the panel now. First, of course, as always, he's back, actually. He's had a 2-week holiday from the show. He's been busy, actually. I can't believe he's got a life away from this channel, but he has, apparently. It's welcome back to Melvin. How you doing? You okay?
Yeah, fine, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's good.
Good to have you back. Good to have you back.
Good to be back. Hello. Melvin, back. Hello.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we did miss you, but we struggled on and we got by 2 shows without you. It was a struggle, but we managed to get through. I did have good support, actually, from he's back again. It's Adam, of course, gave me good support over the last couple of weeks with Melvin's absence. He took charge of the team. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, all good. Fairly relaxed. Can't complain.
Exactly. It's always good when we've had a good win to look back on. And we have got a new panelist on the show the first time. Been itching to get him on the show, on the channel for quite a long time, actually. I love his own channel as well. It is Andy from Anything Arsenal. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Pleasure to be here. Nice to meet some new people as well. So it'll be a good show tonight.
No, I've been asking you to come on a few weeks going, and you've had other stuff on, and we haven't quite managed to get it sorted, but finally we have, which is great. So it's good to have you on the channel. We've got a few comments already, actually, before we start. Russ is in the chat. He says, "Evening, lads. I'm ready for my therapy." Yeah, we all are, I think. And we've got a Chisel as well. Says, "Come on, you Gunners." Exactly. Russ says, "Big Mel, of course. Yeah, we've missed him. We've missed him on the show." He says, Andy, Adam, hello. And he says, evening, Andy, as well. So Russ is introducing himself to us all. How you doing, Russ? Hope you are well tonight, mate. Right, okay. So we've got a lot to get through tonight. I suppose only one place we could really start, and that was the game on the weekend, on Sunday, lunchtime kickoff. And we got the 3 points, and I guess that's the most important thing. And as that little caption said there, 10 games unbeaten. The best run, actually, of Mikel Arteta's reign as manager. We will come on to him a little bit later, his 100 games. But this is our best run of results, certainly. 10 games unbeaten, impressive stuff. But the Watford game was a bit of a, I wouldn't say a damp squid. It was a bit up and down. I mean, Melvin, was you there at the game? You was, wasn't you? What did you make of it?
Well, it was very frustrating. We didn't actually get going. We didn't have the energy that we've had the last few games. Normally, the first half, we're all hammer and tong at the opposition. We didn't do it this week for some reason. And I thought that they were didn't think I'd ever say about the Watford team. They were nasty.
Yeah.
You know, they were a horrible bunch. They were reminding me of the Leeds of the 70s. You know what I mean? They were really out at any cost to do the players. And what makes me laugh, hypocrites though they are, every time Arsenal tackled them, they went down like they'd been shot. I mean, it was just frustrating me. As bad as Arsenal were playing, because it wasn't one of our better games, we played all right. But I was just sitting there thinking, what are you playing at? I thought, what we're supposed to play, play a bit of football. We've got some decent players. What are you doing? And it was, I think, was it King, the number 7? Yeah. He must have 28 legs because he broke about 12 of them on Sunday and got up and he was all right. So I don't know what's happening there. No, it was a horrible game to play, to watch. It was, thought we'd scored the first goal. Everyone was delighted. Nice start. Here we go. Obviously, VAR, should have been, let's face it, should have been not allowed. But the only thing is, I didn't realise till I got home what a miss Aubameyang made for the goal. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, he did.
He should have. What was he trying to do?
Well, I think he was trying to control it and then put it in, but he should have just put it straight in the net. I mean, it was there, an open goal. I mean, he actually cost us 3 goals because he cost us that one and he just put it in. It was a goal. He cost us the goal when Erdegaard scored. That was going in. He touched it in and he was offside and he missed a penalty. So he actually cost us 3 goals, which was a strange game from Aubameyang. But yeah, I don't know quite what was going on there. I mean, it was a comedy of errors, really, wasn't it? And Saka just put it away. He had to put it away, didn't he? Really, and unfortunately, it was offside. But yeah, I think that would have changed the game actually if we'd scored early on again, because it has the last few weeks. And it's funny because on the show, a couple of last few weeks, we've been saying what would happen if we don't get the early goals, because we put games to bed recently in the first 25 minutes, and then we've relaxed, and we've kind of seen it through. And we were kind of wondering how we would cope if we didn't get an early goal. And on Saturday or Sunday rather, we found out, didn't we? We struggled to get that goal, and we finally did, and hung on. I mean, Adam, what did you make of it on Saturday? I mean, I agree with Melvin. Watford were horrible, really, weren't they? They were fouling us right, left, and centre. They were rolling around on the floor, trying to waste time. It was a throwback to like Wimbledon from the 1980s in many ways, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, yeah, it wasn't the prettiest game to watch in the world, was it? I mean, and it was like Watford didn't want to play football. They just wanted to disrupt the way we could play football. And for large parts of the game, it was fairly effective. And unfortunately, but I never felt threatened by them as well. Like even throughout the game, I was sitting there and I was never on the edge of my seat thinking they were going to score. They just didn't look like they had any kind of impetus to do that. I mean, I think the scoreline flattered them. To be honest with you, I mean, 1-0 flattered Watford rather than us. We fully controlled the game, but when I left the ground, I was satisfied because I don't know. I always find it satisfying when you get a result by not playing that well. I don't know. There's something quite satisfying about that. And it kind of goes back to like probably the days when I first started watching Arsenal, George Graham days, things like that, grinding out results. And I think that's a sign of a good team, and a sign that the team's actually starting to play together and will grind out results, not just when at the top of their game, but can grind out those results when they're not at the top of their game. I think there was some standout performances. I thought Ben White probably had his best game for us, definitely. I thought he was incredible. I think Gabriel and him are just looking really, really strong. And Maitland-Niles, again, I think everyone said that already. I believe he did get man of the match from Sky. But I thought he was great. I thought and one of the best compliments I could say with Maitland-Niles is that, he didn't really stand out because he wasn't doing anything wrong, and that was, I think, the biggest compliment I can place him, and he didn't really put a foot wrong. So, yeah, as I just said, I don't quite know what was happening with Aubameyang. He was completely off the boil, which, considering so far this season, I think he's been a lot better. So that was quite disappointing. But I think, overall, Watford tried to, disrupt us, and for large parts of the game it worked. But we got the result. Do you know what I mean? And that's the main thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I think sometimes, like you said, when you don't play well and you can win, then that is a good sign. Although I don't know whether this team's quite good enough to do that on a consistent enough basis over the course of a season. We've done it quite well in recent weeks, actually. We haven't always played well, but we have somehow scraped a result, which has been great to see. And yeah, I agree. Ben White, I thought that was his best game, not only in defensive side of it, but also the way he brought the ball out. He set up the goal as well, didn't he, with his burst forward, and he did that a few times in the game, and his long range passing was good, and yeah, that was he seems to be settling in there, a bit more confidence he's got, hasn't he? I think now.
What do we all think about the goal? About Watford complaining that?
Yeah, I was going to come on to that actually. I mean, I can remember we've had a few scored against us like that. I mean, he wasn't injured, was he? The Watford player, he was, as Melvin said, one of those occasions when he was pretending to be injured to disrupt the play. They kicked the ball out. He was back on his feet again. Nothing wrong with it. I thought it was a foul actually from Maitland-Niles on the edge of the box. Maybe that they could have complained about that, Watford, but not about the throw. That was, he wasn't injured, was he? Let's face it, he was up on his feet again. Yeah. So I don't know what they're moaning about really. They got what they deserve, Watford. I mean, Andy, what did you make of the performance? I mean, it was a struggle, but we deserved to win, didn't we? And as Adam says, we should have maybe won by a few more over the course of the game.
I think we made it hard on ourselves. I think like a confident Aubameyang for the first, like the offside goal for Saka. I think if he's confident, he puts that away first time for me. But you could tell I didn't fancy him with the penalty either, to be honest. So I think we made it hard for ourselves, and I think Aubameyang was the main cause of it. But we controlled the game. I mean, I didn't have many chances apart from that. I have to say it, the Ramsdale mistake, but we've got to let him off that, to be fair, because he's got us out of some sticky situations in the past few games. So, but again, with Aubameyang with the Odegaard shot as well, I think he should have left it alone. But maybe because he wanted to score, he probably didn't think about it. He just wanted to make up for the penalty loss. Like you say, Adam, Maitland-Niles had a great game. Ben White obviously had a great game, especially for the goal. But yeah, I think we controlled it. I mean, I don't know if I think I was a bit worried about Partey being injured before kickoff, especially with Xhaka being injured as well. I mean, I'm not a great Xhaka fan, but he's probably one of our best central midfielders at the moment. So when he went injured and I saw Maitland-Niles in there, I was a bit worried, but he performed brilliantly. And like Melvin and Adam said, he didn't do anything wrong at all. So he didn't stand out. So for me, I think he just nicked man the match from Ben White myself. And also, I want a special mention for Tavares, because at the moment, I can't see Tierney getting back in the team.
No.
For me.
No, I totally agree. I mean, I didn't think Tierney did a great start to the season anyway when he was playing. I thought he was a bit off his top form anyway. He was looking a little bit, I don't know if he was tired or what it was. He just wasn't his best. And now Tavares has come in 3 or 4 games. He's been brilliant. And you can't leave him out, can you? Surely now after that, I don't think.
No. He was up there with the top 3 players on the pitch for me.
Yeah,
I thought he'd done really well.
He did, yeah, he did. I mean, my little concern is, and I don't know what you guys think, I'll be quite interested to know. I mean, we are unbeaten in 10 games, 8 of which are in the Premier League, which is a good run. 6 wins and 2 draws in the Premier League. Not many teams have put together a run like that this season, actually, apart from the top teams. And even they probably have lost one in between, apart from Liverpool, who only just lost one this weekend. So it's a great run, and I don't want to play it down because we should be delighted with it after the start that we had. But when you look at, I think only Leicester, I think, are the only team that we've beaten who were ahead of us in the league at the start of the game that we played. Maybe Tottenham as well. But most of the teams that we've beaten who were below us in the table before we played them. So we haven't really put in what I consider a landmark performance, if you like. I'm still not convinced that we're 5th in the league. I'm not convinced we're 5th in the table team. Personally, from what I've seen of us play, we're on a good run and we need to enjoy it, and I'm trying to enjoy it, but I don't get the feeling that we're a 5th place team, although that's where we are currently in the league. But after 11 games, it's we would have took your arm off or being 5th, wouldn't we? You know what I mean? So it's a funny one for me because I'm not convinced by this team yet. I've seen improvements. I hadn't done maybe earlier in the season, but I'm starting to see improvements, especially defensively, as Adam said. I mean, Gabriel and Ben White are starting to really build. They complement each other because what Gabriel's good at, Ben White isn't, and what Ben White's good at, Gabriel isn't. So they complement each other well. Tomiyasu at right back, he not only is he a decent defender, he's good in the air, and he's used that to good effect both defensively from set pieces as well. So I think, and obviously Ramsdale, as we mentioned, fantastic goalkeeper. So I think defensively we have improved. I'm still not convinced about us going forward. We're struggling to create a lot of chances. We are just about scraping by games 1-0 and stuff like that. We're not really, we're killing teams off in the first 25 minutes recently we've done, which is great. But as we saw on Saturday, when that doesn't happen, I mean, Melvin, what are you feeling about the team at the moment? Obviously, we're 5th in the league, which is great. But did you feel that we deserve to be 5th? And do you think that's where we've got a chance of finishing? Or do you think that maybe it's just we've had a fairly decent run of games in terms of who we've had to play?
I think it's a decent run of games. But against that, you've got to remember it's a very young team. And every game going forward, they get more experience and we should get better. So we can't expect too much. I'm very happy where we are. And when you talk about we're not as good going forward, I put that down to the lack of, and I am to a degree knocking them, but neither of our forwards, Aubameyang or Lacazette, have got what I call presence in the box.
No.
Where you can whip something in, and they're in, they've gone past the defender. Yeah. And I think we lack that. With the left back, we've got Tavares. I think he whips beautiful balls in, and neither of those really attack the ball unless it hits them. If we had like a Giroud, a faster Giroud, that type of target man.
You mean a Lukaku type player, Melvin? Someone like Lukaku?
Yeah, could be. I think we do a lot better going forward. I think our play to get to the box now is much quicker, more direct.
Yeah.
It's so different to it was at the beginning of the season and the end of last season. At least we're breaking. I know we've got a very fast left back now. We've got a midfielder, the young kid, Lokonga, who doesn't want to keep the ball back if he has to. He gets the ball on the turn and he's moving forward, which I love to see. So basically, when we get the ball, at least we're doing something positive with it, not like we've done the last 6 months or so. And we're fifth. It doesn't mean anything because it's early days. If we were fifth from bottom, we'd go, don't worry, it's early days. So you can't actually do that. But confidence breeds confidence. And we're on a run. Just keep it going as long as we possibly can. Liverpool game in a couple of weeks is going to be unbelievably tough. But if we can nick something there, fantastic, and just keep it going. Even if we get beat, but give a good account of ourselves. It's not the end of the world. It's a long season. And as I say, by the end of the season, all of our players hopefully will get a lot more experience and be better for it.
Yeah, no. I mean, I agree. I mean, Andy. I mean, do you feel? I mean, obviously, Gary's put an interesting point in the chat. Actually, he says, "So when we were eighth in the table doesn't lie. Now we are fifth. The table lies. Did the table lie when Leicester City was top? Yes, we should enjoy it. This is a marathon." I mean, what I would say is, obviously, we were eighth at the end of the season. The table at the end of the season doesn't lie. The table after 11 games is a little bit lopsided in a sense, isn't it? Because Adam's coming back. He must have lost his signal. So, obviously at the moment, after 11 games, we're fifth. We deserve to be fifth because that's where we are. And if we finish fifth at the end of the season, that's where we deserve to finish. But what are you making of it so far, Andy? Do you think that we have had a rather favourable, Leicester away, the exception, we have had a pretty favourable run of games, haven't we? Games that we would have expected to have picked up a lot of points.
Yeah, I mean, after the disastrous start to the season, I think we've got to give Arteta. I mean, I'm not his biggest fan, but I've got to give him some credit. Some of the performances we did put in, I think the Villa game, Tottenham game, recent performances have been a lot better. I do think some results, maybe like Norwich and Burnley and Palace and probably Brighton, really got away with a little bit. But we got the 3 points. Well, apart from Brighton and Palace, we got the draw there, luckily. I'm starting to see some sort of process, but there hasn't been that real test yet. And these next 4 or 5 games after the international break will tell us where we actually really are as a team.
Yeah, I agree.
I do actually think with this run that we've been on, we'll give that confidence to go into those games thinking we can actually nick something. I'm not going to say we're going to beat Liverpool. I don't expect anything from that game. But as long as we bring a bit of quality and fight to that game, then at least we're showing something, because otherwise it'd be just another Man City walkover again. And I don't want that. So hopefully with these run of games, and like I say, I'm going to give Arteta credit. He has got the results and the performances recently. And we keep just moving on, take it game by game.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see us at Liverpool. In recent years, we've gone to Liverpool and got outplayed completely, heavy defeats one after the other. And if we go there and actually compete with Liverpool for 90 minutes, whether we get a result or not, to me, that would be a massive step forward from recent years. And that's all we can hope for. We're not going to be able to challenge Liverpool or Man City or Chelsea. But for me, there is a place in the top 4 this year, because no one else is really that consistent below those 3, I don't think. West Ham are doing well at the minute. I think the Europa League is going to take its toll on them. Leicester have been very up and down. Tottenham, as we know, have had seven managers already this season. We've started to get a consistent run, but I think there's a place in the top 4 for somebody. I'm not sure whether we're able to take that, but we'll know more, as you said, over the next few games. And we've got some traditionally difficult games that we generally haven't done particularly well in over the years. So it would be interesting to see how we come out of that. I mean, Adam, is your signal a bit better now? I know you've had a few problems. You're back now with us.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm back. I can barely see you all moving, but I can hear you. I suppose that's good.
Melvin always moves that slowly, so you're fine.
Okay, I think we're good now. I think we're good. Everyone's
good.
Everyone's in sync with each other now. That's good. I don't know what's going on tonight, but
yeah, well, it happens sometimes. Internet can be a funny thing when we rely on it for what we do. I mean, are you kind of thinking that obviously we're fifth in the league, Adam, as we said. Do you feel as though that's a fair reflection of where we are as a club at this moment in time, or do you think that it's to do more with the games that we've had as opposed to the overall picture?
I don't know. I mean, I was thinking about it earlier, actually. I was talking about it with another Arsenal fan, actually, today. And we're only, 2 points behind Liverpool. But I don't think Liverpool are just 2 points better than us, unfortunately. No. I know Liverpool lost at the weekend, which was great. But I still see them as quite a step ahead of us, So is it because, Liverpool are not still playing to their full potential? I know they've drawn a lot this season. I think they've drawn 4. Obviously, lost 1 now. And I know, obviously, we've obviously drawn only 1. I think we drew, but we've lost 3. But I do think the games is there, is a factor. But you can only play who you're playing against. You can only get results on who you're playing against. I mean, they always say you can tell after 10 games, kind of the first bit of the season. Then at Christmas time, you can tell a bit more. So I didn't really think after the first 3 games that we would be in this position. Am I happy about it? Yeah, of course I'm happy about it, because we've got the points on the board, and that's the main thing. Do I think it's a slightly false dawn? Potentially. Unfortunately. Potentially I do, yeah. And like you said, I'm not confident for the Liverpool away, let's be honest, after our most recent performances. But depending on how we get on there, could change my mind. If we really go there and put up a performance, regardless of the result, if we actually turn up and fight, show that strength that we have shown recently, then I might start to believe a little bit more. So I think Andy was saying earlier about like the Villa game. I thought we have been great. Like first half against Spurs, most of the game against Villa. But then you look at Villa lost 7 in a row. We were amongst that. So it kind of like softens it a little bit for me, thinking that we played a weak team, because again the tables don't lie. So it's hard to say until you play, Liverpool away. Obviously we've got United coming up as well. I know United are going through their own troubles, but that will still be a good barometer, I think, for us to see kind of where we're at.
I mean, I know what people say about 10 games into the season. We've played 11, but so far the only top team we've played away is Manchester City, and we got hammered. The only top team we've played at home, really top team, would be Chelsea, and we lost that as well. So that doesn't feel. I know that the team's different now. We've got new players in and stuff like that, and that has to be taken into account. But usually after 10, 11 games, we would have probably played 2 or 3 of the big teams away from home, or at least 2 of them, and a couple at home probably. And with this season, those fixtures haven't come round yet. We've got Liverpool to come very soon, Man United, as you said. We haven't even played teams like Everton, who are a tricky game, and a lot of those teams are in and around us in the league. We've not really played them yet. We played most of the teams that are in the bottom end of the table generally, and some of them we've struggled against. I mean, Brighton are doing well, but you wouldn't say Brighton's a big game, is it, for us really? They're doing well at the minute, and that was a tough game. But yeah, I do feel the fixtures have maybe played a little bit of a part. We've made the most of it, which is great. That's what you need to do. You need to win the games that you're supposed to win, and then try and get results in the ones that maybe you don't expect to get results in. And we'll see, obviously, what happens against Liverpool. Gary in the chat there, DWTT says, Arteta needs to be playing European football next season, regardless of how he gets there. And Russ says, no, I don't want Conference League. Yeah, I don't think any of us do. And Gary says, I wasn't counting that as European football. Well, it is part of European football, not the European football that we want. And Nigel makes a good point there. 6 points off Chelsea. We're genuine dark horses. We are 6 points off Chelsea. Of course we are. Mathematically, I agree. Are we dark horses for what, though? Top 4, maybe? Yes, possibly. I think there's a space in the top 4. We're certainly not dark horses for the league title, are we? Let's be honest. I think we would. I think that's being slightly optimistic, but I do admire that optimism that you've got. But top 4, I don't feel as though that's unrealistic with looking at the league table. You've got the top 3 that are, I think, better than everybody else. I know West Ham are 3rd at the moment, but including Liverpool in that. But then again, as Adam rightly points out, if we was to go Anfield and win, we actually go above them after 12 games. I mean, that would be incredible, wouldn't it? I mean, who would ever have thought that? And then maybe I think all of us will start to sort of take more notice and say, you know what, maybe this is the season that things have changed, maybe. But we'll have to see. If we lose 5-0 again, I'm sure we won't really we won't feel the same about that. I mean, obviously, the man behind all of this sort of turnaround in form and everything else is this guy. Of course, he did celebrate his 100th game as manager. Some of us never thought he'd get that many, but he's made it. I mean, I do love a good stat, actually, and I have got the stats of his 100 games somewhere. I did write them down for this very purpose, and now I can't find them. I did write it down, and I can't find it now. But anyway, I think only George Graham has won more games in his first 100 in charge than what Mikel Arteta has, which surprises me quite a lot. But ultimately, it is what it is. They're the facts, and it's been. I think the 100 games have been very mixed for me. It's been a mixed bag of some good performances, a lot of very average performances, and a lot of poor performances as well. So, I mean, Melvin, what have you made of the 100 games over as an overall 100? Yes, the last 10 have been great, but what have you made of the other 90 put together?
Well, when you talk about against George Graham, I don't think George Graham played a lot of the Europa Cups that we played, where there were not very good teams.
No, he didn't. No, you're right.
You've got to take that out of the equation and play the next.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But I think that what we should have done, with hindsight, when Arteta signed for us, we should have changed our shirts from red and white to black and white, because a lot of the games that we play, we've been either useless or fantastic. A lot of games that spring to mind.
That's true. Actually, that's a good point.
Great at all, and we perhaps should have played in Newcastle colours for a little bit. But listen, he's outperformed on certain games. Obviously, the FA Cup run was amazing. The semi-final and final. I don't know whether he outwitted the two very, very good coaches, or he just got a bit of lucky. I think he probably outwitted them a bit. And all the Arsenal players then were playing well. Then you got the dregs where we were putting them, after that, where everything seemed to fall off a cliff. And up to last Christmas, had he got the sack, no one would have said, "Oh, that's a shock." I think, in life sometimes, I'm not saying he's only that, but I'd rather be lucky than clever. And I think he got away with that. And he might be very good for the club that he did. And obviously for him, he might be the man. Who knows? Hopefully he's turned it around. He's realised, he's learned by doing the job or grown into the job, because I don't think he was right as a manager when he first joined. Let's face it. So I think he's learning on the go, which is not great for an Arsenal manager, in my opinion. But perhaps we as a club have got away with it. We found an actual gem that we had to be a bit patient with, and we know what other clubs have done the last few years, and with less patience. And look where it's landed them. So the next 10 games, next 20 games, then it will continue, and we'll say that at the end of the day, his first 100 games were there for a reason to get him where he is now, because I think he's learned on the job.
I agree, actually. Yeah, I do think he has learned on the job, and the fact that we're starting to see improvements. When you look back towards the end of last season as well, we had an upturn in results. I know the games were a bit meaningless in a sense after we got knocked out of Europe. So, but yeah, he does seem to be learning on the job, and he does seem to be putting those lessons into practice, because he seems to be going in the right direction now. It's been very up and down, and I still think we may well have a few more ups and downs to come. It's a young team still, and young teams tend to do that anyway. But I can see, I am starting to see improvements in what he's doing, and I have to say that, yes, I've been a big critic of his. I didn't think he was the right man, and I'm still not 100% convinced, if I'm honest. But you've got to look at what's happened over the last 2-3 months, and maybe even longer back than that when you look at some of the results, say last season. So, yeah, I think that it's been a mixed bag for me, but I suppose at the moment we're heading in the right direction. It's better to maybe start slowly and get better than maybe start well and get worse, as a lot of managers tend to do. I mean, Andy, what have you made of the 100 games overall, as an overall kind of picture?
Well, to start with, I didn't necessarily want him because no experience. But when he first come in, I thought he done well. Like you say, like Melvin said, he went on an FA Cup run, won the FA Cup, outwitted. I do think he outwitted Pep in the semi-final and Chelsea in the final. I think one of the rare games where he goes behind the final and wins the game, because that's the only concern. That's a major concern actually for me with Arteta. When we go behind in games, he doesn't seem to know how to get us out of it, and it's still a bit of a concern for me. So I know we've improved over the last 10, but because of that reason of where we haven't gone behind in games most of that time, that question sort of needs to be answered for me. So, yeah, he's had a lot of wins in that. I think it's 54. I think he's won.
54.
Just behind, like you say, George Graham. There's still sort of question marks on his managerial ability for me. Like you say, a lot of ups and downs, but we are improving the last 10 games. So, at the moment, I'm not screaming Arteta out like I was at the beginning of the season. But if he goes through another spell like he did last Christmas, like November, December time, then he's back to square one again. And I do think he would actually struggle to keep his job this time. But like you say, stats don't lie. 54 wins. I suppose, like Melvin said, though, a lot of them were European games you would win, really.
Yeah.
But credit when credit's due. I suppose he has the second at the moment, and hopefully, long it may continue.
Yeah, and I think that's what we all want. I mean, Chisley in the chat makes a similar point there. Let's be honest, Arteta has done well over the last 4 to 6 weeks, but the stats include Europa League matches on the level of a Western Supermare or Halifax Town. I agree, stats can be good for optimism. Yeah, I mean, you're right. You'd have to include those games. We did play them, a lot of the Europa League group games. We won all 6 last year, so that's 6 wins there that we were given, really. I think any manager would have won those 6 games at Arsenal. So yeah, that has maybe pushed it a little bit more slightly in his favour. But ultimately, 100 games is still 100 games, and the results overall have been, 54 wins, as you said, 54% win ratio isn't great, but it's not that bad considering the criticism he's took maybe over the 100 games from Arsenal fans in general. I think he's not really, he's not been really popular, as he overall. There's a section of fans that will support him even if we lose 10-0 every week by the look of it. But overall, I think that the fan base haven't been convinced by him yet. I mean, Adam, I know you've kind of been supportive of Arteta pretty much all the way through, mainly, which is great. I mean, what have you made of the 100 games? Obviously, it's a great achievement for him to have reached 100 games, because I didn't think he'd get that many, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think purely the fact for me is that I will generally support whoever's in charge, because they're the manager of my team, so I always try and be a bit more positive as much as I can be. Going back to what a couple of guys said earlier, did I think he was the right appointment? No, I agree with what Andy said, the fact that he wasn't, experienced. I did think it was a risk to get him on board. I wasn't quite sure who else, though. If you asked me who else was around at the time, I couldn't have really given you an answer. I think the only one at the time I was thinking was maybe Ancelotti, but he would have buggered off to Madrid by now anyway. So there you go. But you know what I mean? It's been 100 games. It's been a very up and down 100 games, especially in the Premier League, So there's been some real highs, but there's been some real lows. And like we mentioned, that run, I think it was Chelsea, wasn't it, that we turned it around? We beat Chelsea at home 3-0, 3-1.
3-1.
That was the kind of turning point, weren't it? That was that kind of sliding doors moment, I think, for Arteta. I think had we not have won that, then he probably wouldn't be in a job right now, But we won that, and I think what was pivotal was because in that game he brought in Emil Smith-Rowe, and the kid hasn't looked back. Really, him making that decision to kind of bring him on board has been a catalyst for change within the club and also within the fans. I think the fact that he's now has shown he's invested in the youth, especially like with the youngsters who are coming through, has definitely helped get the fans on side. Do I still think he's the one to lead us down the next 5-10 years? Probably not, but I'll support him, as long as he is in the team, as long as he continues to try and build a winning side.
Yeah, and I think that's brilliant. I mean, that's what we all want, isn't it? We all want to support him, and we all want him to succeed.
You can still hear me now. My connection is.
I think you're a little bit. I think there's a little bit of a delay. We can hear you, but it's like you say. Do you remember in the old 1980s when they say, "Right, we're gonna join someone from Azerbaijan," and they speak 10 minutes later? That's what it's like at the minute. We've had with his.
It's like the Two Roddy sketch.
Yeah, but that's what it's been a bit like. But anyway, we're getting there. We're getting his faults on, which is great. It seems like his internet's maybe having a few issues tonight. Hopefully, we can get it sorted out. There's a little statistic here which you might like, right? Arteta's first game back in December 2019, and obviously his 100th game was on Sunday against Watford. There was 4 players that started both games. Do we know? Can anybody name all 4?
It's got to be Aubameyang, Lacazette.
Aubameyang, yeah, that's 1. Lacazette's 2.
Started.
Right, yeah.
Saka.
4. Saka, yeah.
So I've got one more to go.
My mind went blank then. I'm trying to think now.
There's one more. There's one more. Actually, there's two more. But we'll say one more, really. But there is two more, actually.
Who's in goal? Leno.
And then he never started.
Blimey,
It's quite a tricky one, actually. Adam's back. See if he can get it. Did you hear that, Adam, before what we said? He's still on a delay.
Yeah. Not Tierney, was it? No,
Well, yeah, I'm here. I put that in the chat, but that's wrong. I knew straight away that was wrong.
Yeah, he was. He was at the
Scott,
club.
is it Maitland-Niles?
He was injured. It is Maitland-Niles, and he's got it. Yeah, it was Maitland-Niles. Maitland-Niles actually played right back at Bournemouth in that first game, and he played obviously. Who would have thought that? When he's hardly played in between, but he played in the first and the 100th. Another
Who was the other one you were talking about? You said
another player who started was actually Ramsdale, played in goal for Bournemouth that day.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Wow.
so it was actually 5, but 4 for Arsenal and one for Bournemouth. But yeah, Ramsdale played in goal as well, actually. So he played in the first and the 100th as well. But yeah, a lot of changes actually. The central defensive partnership at Bournemouth that game was Socrates and David Luiz, and now it's Ben White and Gabriel. So I think there's an improvement there.
Yeah.
Mustafi came on for Socrates as well, so there's another improvement there.
That must have been a game changer.
In midfield, actually, the two in midfield against Bournemouth was Torreira and Xhaka. Torreira got man of the match actually in that game, in the Bournemouth game, Arteta's first game, and he never quite pushed on from there, did he? Unfortunately, then Ozil was playing number 10. He got taken off, replaced by Willock. Obviously, neither of those two are at the club anymore. Nelson started on the right ahead of Pepe, who came off the bench, and then it was Aubameyang and Lacazette. So a lot of changes to the team actually. Martinez was on the bench, Mavropanos was on the bench, Guendouzi was on the bench, and Smith Rowe was on the bench as well, didn't come on. So a lot of changes. I think there's been 11 players from that squad have now no longer at the club. Some are out on loan and a lot have left. And we've brought in 8 players as a replacement. So it's been a lot of change, isn't it, over the 100 games? Pretty much 3/4 of the team's different now than it was. And, you know, we're now heading in the right direction. So maybe we've got to give Arteta credit for that. He got the players he wanted and we've improved. And he's got rid of some of the players who wasn't quite good enough. A few people in the chat got the players right as well there. Mark said A&M, Uber, Laka and Saka, yeah. And Gunnar for life as well. Uber, Laka, Saka, Maitland-Niles, exactly. Nigel says it's about time we added the League Cup to Mantle again. No, it is. I'd take the League Cup any day of the week. Don't worry about that. It's got some good memories for us. First ever trophy I saw us win. Gary says that ESR's starting wasn't planned. If not for injuries, would Arteta still be here? Well, that's a point. I don't know if he was. He probably wouldn't have started that game because he wasn't getting many minutes before, was he? Gary also says there Arteta's first 100 matches are good for the start of a career. Yeah, that's a good point. If you look at other managers in their first 100 matches, and these are probably good. Yeah, they are. You've got to bear in mind his first 100 matches have come at a club like Arsenal. Most first 100 matches for most managers are at lower clubs with not much money, not many good players. So I suppose you've got to maybe take that into account as well. But it is, you know, it's a good enough record. Chisel says that Mavropanos is doing very well on loan this season. He is actually. He's been scoring some goals as well, hasn't he, for a defender? So that's good to see. Don't see him getting into the team, but nice to see, really. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna. I think he'll end up being sold on. Actually,
I think he's got an obligation. I think they've got an obligation to buy in that deal. I'm not entirely sure. Stuttgart, I can't remember who he went on loan to.
Is it Stuttgart or somewhere?
Yeah, I can't remember where it was, but I think they've got an obligation to buy him for a certain amount of million, but I can't.
What I don't understand, why are we selling a player when the buying club's got the obligation? So if he turns out to be a world beater, they get him for nothing. And if he's no good, they give him back to us. Well, how's that good for us?
I know. I don't get that at all.
They'll have to pay a fee for him, won't they? I would have thought, unless his contract's up.
Yeah, but they get him for about $1 million or something. I think it's stuck out. It's about £1 million or something. So if he turns out to be Maradona on ice, it's like still £1 million. But if he's crap,
Gary says it is Stuttgart. Yeah, I thought it was Stuttgart where he's playing.
It's like going to a posh restaurant saying, I'll give you a knicker if I really enjoy this meal. And if I don't, I'll give you nothing. It's a bit like, well, what's all that about? Yeah, no, it is a strange deal, I suppose. But anyway, at least he's playing football now, which is what he needed to do, I guess, like a few other players are the same. So, yeah, he's a strange one, Mavropanos, because you could see he had potential, and then he had a couple of poor games, didn't he? And then he's been shipped out, and we've never seen him again. Sent off, that's what done him.
He did get sent off, yeah. It was at Leicester, wasn't it? Was it Leicester he got sent off against? Somebody like that, wasn't it?
Well, at the end of the day, if players ain't going to play for us to get sent off, we'll have no one playing for us.
Well, no, we wouldn't. No, we wouldn't have a few, would we? Chizo in the chat says there, had United on lockdown for 88 minutes until one mistake before he played his last game for the club. Yeah, he did that game against Man United. I remember that. I was at that game. Yeah. He was brilliant, wasn't he, in that game at Old Trafford? And then, yeah, he's never really quite hit the heights again for us, really. He's had a odd game here and there. But, yeah, it's good that he's doing well. But, yeah, another one who Arteta seems to favour certain types of player, doesn't he? And he doesn't favour certain others. And you can see by the team that he picked in his first game, the players that he had at the time, he was stuck with them. And that was the team he picked. And obviously, over the course of his 100 games, he's got rid of the ones he didn't like. And he's brought in players that he does like. And you can see the difference. So maybe there's something to be had about that. I don't know. But yeah, it's very an interesting team. I thought that was when I was researching it. I looked at his first 11 that he picked. I was quite surprised. I think we had a few injuries because Bellerin wasn't even in the squad, which is why Maitland-Niles played right back. Tierney was injured as well, as we said, so he wasn't in the squad either. They would both probably have played had they been fit. Obviously, Ozil was a regular player in the team, wasn't he, to begin with under Arteta? He played a lot of the games at the beginning, and then he ended up getting bombed out. So a couple of other stats actually, and this is the most interesting one for me. That game at Bournemouth, Arteta's first game, we had 61% possession. On Sunday against Watford, we had 61% possession. What about that?
Spooky.
Yeah, very spooky. Who would have thought? Also, as well, another similar one. At Bournemouth, we had 3 corners. Against Watford, we had 4 corners. So the corners were quite similar as well. So we need 61% possession to get 4 corners by the look of it, which is fair enough, I suppose.
And we played Watford, that are the Bs, and Bournemouth begin with a B. I mean, you can't get
Watford and the Hornets. Melvin, Watford and the Hornets, not the Bs.
Oh, sorry. I'll get me coat.
Yeah, I mean, funny enough, obviously Eddie Howe was Bournemouth's manager, and he's managing Newcastle now. And we played him in the second game back after the international break, so we'll be coming up against Eddie Howe again. So that'll be interesting as well to see how that says there. And Chisholm in the chat says the less said about Bellerin the better. Yeah, maybe so, but he was injured at that particular time. So that was quite interesting actually. A couple of stats there from his 100 games, but yeah, it's. It has been a mixed period. Just quickly then, what would be your best game for Arteta, do you think, Melvin? You're at 100, what one sticks out best for you? What would you say?
It's got to be the final, I suppose. Chelsea.
Yeah. Chelsea in the final, yeah. Okay, Andy, what about you?
Yeah, I've got to say the same at the moment. I think it was brilliant that day.
Adam, what do you reckon is his best game at 100?
I actually say that the one I mentioned earlier, the Chelsea in the league, where we actually turned it around. I think maybe not the best game, but I think that could be the most pivotal out of his 100 games.
Well, it's definitely probably the most pivotal. For me, I thought the best performance that we put in was the semi-final against Man City, actually. Yeah. We were brilliant that day. That was probably the best performance I think Arteta's produced overall over 90 minutes. I thought we were brilliant that day. So that will still be the best one for me. But yeah, I think that Chelsea game, you're right, Adam. I think that probably will be the most pivotal game of his whole career, actually, because if we'd lost that game, Lampard got sacked soon after that, didn't he, when they lost? So, who knows where we might have been. I did want to talk briefly, actually. It was something I sort of thought about yesterday. I did want to mention the sort of international break coming up, and these two in particular. I mean, he didn't get called up originally, which was a bit of a scandal in itself. But Smith Rowe is finally in the England squad. Maybe he might get some minutes. I mean, Melvin, do you think he should have been called up anyway, regardless of the fact that it's an injury now and he's been called up late? Do you think he should have got in anyway?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the England manager, Southgate, has picked him through gritted teeth, it seems.
Yeah.
That's what
I think. Yeah.
But no, he deserves it. He's been one of our best players, if not the best player for since December, if you like. He's been outstanding, absolutely outstanding. He's been the catalyst for a big change in the club. His attitude is fantastic. His effort is off the radar. Everything about him. He did one turn on Sunday. I couldn't believe what he did. I mean, we've seen him turn when the ball comes to him on the turn, but he was facing one way and he spun on a sixpence and got away from a guy. I thought, wow, not seen anyone do that for a few years. He's got a load of tricks that they haven't shown yet. No, he's got it all. I think he's a fantastic player. I get a lot of pleasure out of watching him, not just because he's an Arsenal player. I really do enjoy watching him. It's the same when I watch Man City, De Bruyne. You know, I'm not a Man City supporter, but I love watching De Bruyne play. He plays to such a level, such skill, and he gives 100%. Yeah, I just sit back and go, wow, come on, just give him the ball. I want to see him with the ball. And that's very similar. I'm not saying he's in that league at the moment, but that's how much enjoyment he gives me watching him. Obviously, I get a little bit more because I'm an Arsenal supporter, but I think he's in that area of him watching someone play that you really enjoy. So, yeah, of course he should get it.
I mean, the one thing maybe I had really was the fact he didn't score enough goals, and he's put that right now. He's scored in the last 3 Premier League games. He's got 5 goals this season already. He's on target to get maybe 12, 15 in a season, which is what we need from a midfield player in his position. So, yeah, he's finally getting that end product, which I think was lacking, and it's fully deserved. I mean, a lot of people have been saying that maybe they didn't want him to play for England because he might get tired and injured. Or I don't care about that. He should be playing for England. Yeah. He deserves to play for England. It's going to be a massive boost for his career. I mean, Andy, do you think that he was unlucky not to have got called up in the first place in the original squad?
100%. I mean, Southgate says he picks that squad on form.
Yeah.
And you look at Maguire, Rashford, and I'd even put Kane in that category at the moment, and he doesn't pick it on form at all. No. And like Melvin said, he's picked Smith Rowe on gritted teeth and probably peer pressure as well. So I can't remember who's gone out injured for him to get into the squad, but all I know is I'm so happy for him, and it's fully deserved since, like you say, December. He's been one of our best players, and he is a flair player who works hard, and that's all you can ask for as an Arsenal fan, really. And it's lovely to see a player like that progress, and especially at our club. So I think it's fully deserved, and I think Saka starts anyway. I think he's an absolutely diamond player. I think he's I just love watching him as well. And the only thing is, I think Ben White should have gone in that team as well, because I look at the centre backs, and I think Ben White should have gone. I don't know, Maguire, Mings, and all that are still in there. It's baffling for me, but I'm really pleased with Smith Rowe and Saka as always. But yeah, fully deserved for Smith Rowe for me.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of got a little bit of a look about him for me, a little bit of a Paul Merson, I think, when he was at similar age, and now he's getting goals as well, which Merson used to score a lot more goals. So, I can see him being a fantastic player for many years to come. I mean, you mentioned the defence there, actually. I mean, Tyrone Mings and Harry Maguire, they must have conceded 100 goals between them this season. Ben White's been a team that don't concede goals, and he gets overlooked. It's crackers. I mean, I don't know what goes through. I mean, as Chisel says in the chat there, Southgate is a fraud, appointed yes man for international football. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up for me, definitely. Yeah. But we've got to a semi-final and a final in the last 2 tournaments of him. So, he's not going to get sacked, is he? Unfortunately, we're kind of stuck with him. I mean, Adam, we could have potentially half the England team at the World Cup, couldn't we? I mean, Ramsdale, Ben White, Saka, Smith Rowe, even Maitland-Niles push for it away.
We carry on deservedly so. Do you know what I mean? Completely deservedly so. I think that, as you said, it baffled me how he didn't get called up anyway. And like Andy said, I saw the same comment from Southgate where he said on, more than one occasion, I will always pick my squads and team on form, not on past displays. Well, that's just, excuse me, bullshit, isn't it? Really? I mean, he was at the Villa game, Southgate, weren't he? And then he was at the Leicester game. What was he watching? Like, seriously, if that's the case, what was he watching? Like, the fact that he didn't call up Smith Rowe, Ben White, who's been improving week on week for me as well. Saka's consistent, obviously. Ramsdale's been great. They both have been in the squad already, and they deserve to stay in there. And it baffled me how baffled me how he could call up, like you just mentioned, like Tyrone Mings. I don't think he's necessarily a bad defender, but he's not on form. And Maguire is as bad as I've ever seen him play. Even Connor Cody, who I always thought was pretty solid, has not been, performing that well for Wolves this year. So it's just like, it's rubbish, you know what I mean? And is it another person who's got another agenda against Arsenal players? And I just don't get it, because Smith Rowe's been our best player this season. Yes, that's been most consistent. He's been one of the most consistent performers in the Premier League, not just at Arsenal. So I don't see how he couldn't have got in on merit, and had to get in round the back door, let's say. But I really hope he does get some minutes, and I really hope that he puts a performance in, because he could actually fit well into that England side. And England, let's be honest, need a bit of flair at times because we can be very one-dimensional and pretty straightforward and quite boring at times. So it'd be good to see him one side, Saka the other. That would be great, and it would obviously piss certain other fans off, which would be really nice.
No, it would be good. And I mean, it's funny because I suppose Smith Rowe is a similar kind of player to Jack Grealish, isn't he? Maybe the sort of areas that he plays.
Then you say that as well. Grealish is not on form, is he? Grealish.
No, he's not. And I was going to say that if Grealish gets a game, it's because Grealish plays for Man City, not for any other reason, because he's not playing particularly well. Smith Rowe at the moment, I think, is playing better than most players in the Premier League in his position, actually, this season. So, yeah, he should have been in on merit. He's got in through the back door, maybe, if you like. But let's hope, I agree, Adam, let's hope he does get some minutes in these games and can show what he can do at that level, because I'm sure he'd be good. Gary says Southgate doesn't believe in form. No, he doesn't. Not many players can just turn it on when they put on England shirt. Saka, but Kane's form has been consistent. Well, he's been consistent, consistent. James says Ben White will be exposed for England. He ain't got the wall Gabriel with him. Yeah, that's true. Gabriel has been immense this season, actually. But yeah, I think, but I suppose if Ben White's got to play with Harry Maguire, he probably won't look quite as good, will he? Let's be fair. So maybe that's something we need to
very upset. I'm very upset that Gabriel hasn't been picked for England either. I could do.
I know, that's a scandal, that is, isn't it? An absolute scandal.
I can't believe it.
He got called up, didn't he? He did get called up, didn't he, Gabriel?
Yeah, Brazil.
Yeah. I think Tommy Asu should have got a call up as well. But anyway. That's another story. But no, I mean, it's great for Smith Rowe, and obviously Saka and Smith Rowe are our two boys, and it's great to see them together now in the full England squad. They've played at the under-23s and stuff like that, so it's nice that they're finally in the full squad together. And it's like they can both be on the pitch at the same time, because Saka's almost become a regular in the England side, hasn't he? He's scored a few goals recently as well. It'd be nice if Smith Rowe can have a similar. I must admit, I was surprised that Saka got as much minutes in the Euros as he did, actually, because I didn't think he'd be used much, and he shone, didn't he? So let's hope that maybe Smith Rowe
took it, didn't he? He got his chance.
Exactly, and let's hope Smith Rowe can do the same, because if he gets minutes on the pitch, I'm sure he'll shine, because he's been brilliant for us all season. And Chisel in the text says there, I still have reservations about the Ben White signing, but I was very impressed with his games against Villa and Watford. So I hope he proves me wrong, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I think we're all a little bit unsure of him at the beginning. Big price tag, took a while to settle. He was out of the team, he got ill and stuff like that. He had an injury, didn't he? So now he's playing every week, and I think he's improving. And maybe having Gabriel alongside him's helped. But yeah, he's been a great player, been a great revelation so far. And yeah, 50 million is a big price tag for a defender, but it's still less than Harry Maguire cost, and I think he's playing a lot better than Harry Maguire. So there you go. So you have to look at it like that, and yeah, hopefully he'll be in England squad soon as well. Well, what we'll do now, I think we'll do our little archive section, because it's one of the best moments I like, and I picked a season this week that I think's got a little bit of relevance. Obviously, with Arteta's 100th game as manager, it was, of course, the season that he first joined the club as a player. Again, this was a season we maybe spoke about it for this season a little bit up and down, but it had some good moments and some rather shocking moments as well. And that's Walcott there in my shirt, obviously. And that was one of the shocking moments. That was the goal he scored at Old Trafford in the 8-2 that we lost, which kind of pushed the club into spending quite a lot of money a few days later on the transfer deadline day, and Arteta being one of the players that arrived, and maybe helped us turn it around. I mean, I do think that 8-2 at Old Trafford was a freak game. You look at some of the players we had playing as well. I think it was that Traore was left back when Jenkinson was right back, and it was a bit of a mix and match team. And yeah, we obviously suffered our heaviest ever Premier League defeat. But I think from that moment, actually, that season had some good moments, didn't it? I mean, there was that win at Chelsea, the Van Persie hat-trick. I mean, Van Persie had a great season, didn't he? 37 goals he scored his last season, of course, before he left. But brilliant season he had. And there was a few other players stood out for me. We had Yossi Benayoun on loan, didn't we? I thought he was a good player for us, actually. I thought he had some good moments that season when he played. He scored some good goals. And there were some good moments. I mean, Melvin, what stands out for you, obviously, apart from the 8-2, obviously? What moments stand out for you from that season, 2011, 2012?
Well, just go to Yossi Benayoun, whatever.
Benayoun,
yeah. I thought he was a very good player, and I thought we should have used him more.
Yeah.
He hardly played for us. When he played for us, he did very well. He could control the midfield, he could score goals, he had plenty of running in him. But what the weird thing about that season, I think we in first team. We brought 9 first teamers in. We got rid of about 4 or 5, and we got 25 million in for altogether overall. And we actually got some very poor players for that money, for the difference, rather. Some very, I mean, we got, I'm just looking at the list here. Park Koo-young, we got, right? Where are they now, as they say? We got that fantastic dancer, Santos. What a dancer. He was terrific.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Fever, get me everybody. Jovino. Oh. I was going to say the hair got in his eyes, but that can't be true. The way it was all, there's nothing there.
Yeah, yeah.
And also Jenkinson, with all due respect, is an Arsenal supporter, but that's not a reason for playing for the Arsenal. Otherwise, I should have a go. Anyway, our transfer dealings, we let some very good players go. We're under pressure. Fabregas we couldn't keep, obviously. His heart wasn't in the club anymore. Nasri saw the chance of more money and winning things. You know, Aboué was on his way out anyway. Clichy, Lehman, I think, was finished, but he went. We put Benter on loan. But the games that really stood out for me, which made me very disappointed to be an Arsenal supporter, really, the low points, was away to Blackburn. We got beat 4-3. And I listened to that game on the radio.
Yeah,
I was driving up to Leeds. I was in Leeds with taking my son up north for school, university, and we're listening to it. And we parked in Leeds. We saw that the second half we watched on the telly in the pub, and we left with 5 minutes to go when they scored again, Blackburn. Because I think Giroud, the ball came down the right-hand side, and Giroud, all he had to do was kick the ball out, sliding, and he completely missed the man and the ball. They went on to score. I think it was shocking conditions. And he was a disaster in that game, Giroud. Had one of his... Now then, you'll have to say if I'm right on this one. Also, Giroud, we got beat by Fulham 2-1. Was that the game he got sent off? Richard? Did he get sent off that game? Because I remember him playing, and he had a little finger on the wing, Fulham, and he kept cutting into the middle, and Giroud kept fouling him. And I was shouting at the telly, take him off. He's going to get sent off. He'd already been booked. I'm sure that's the game.
I think it might have been. He did get sent off against someone, didn't he, like Fulham? Yeah, it might have been that one, actually. You might be right.
And another one, we got beat by Swansea 3-2, I think it was. Yeah, and that was the game, I think, that Chambers played right back. Well, Chambers was getting beat by left wing, a little South American guy. I can't remember the name. Can't remember most people's names nowadays. But he was murdering him. He must have put about 20 crosses in. And he had no help, Chamberlain. I know he didn't do well, but you would have thought the manager, the coach, or the captain of the team, or one of the defenders, or someone go, oi, help him out. Let's help him out, because he was struggling. And what happened was that winger beat him again. Right, I don't know when they scored. Crossed it 3-2. Here we go, and the end of the game. We knew what was going to. We could see what was going to happen, and no one did anything about it. So that's when the old alarm bells was ringing me with Wenger. I'm going, come on, Wenger, you're better than that. Surely you've got to be better than that. Especially with the Fulham game, especially with the Swansea game and the Blackburn game. We weren't a team. We just laid down and died because Blackburn weren't very good then. On the outside, obviously, the FA Cup went on, re-scored the goal with Leeds. That was a moment that lifted us all. It was like us winning the cup, wasn't it? Yeah. That game. Yeah. You know, if you wrote a film about it, you wouldn't believe it if you watched the film. Also, very frustrating. Jovino's first game away to Newcastle, where Barton got him sent off. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't think VAR would have helped us because VAR never helps us. But that was so disgusting what Barton done. The referee fell for it, and it was just disgraceful. And nothing happened to Barton. He just walked away like, job done, end of. And I thought that was so. And then we didn't play well. I think it was 0-0. We didn't play well. So those were mainly the highlights and quite a few lowlights of that season. And obviously, Van Persie was on another planet, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah. I mean, you know, you've highlighted all those defeats there, Melvin. Obviously, the Man United game, as we briefly mentioned as well. We did actually finish third, despite all those horrible defeats and those terrible performances. And yes, a lot of that was down to Van Persie's unbelievable form that year. 37 goals, I said that he scored, and he got us out of trouble in so many games, didn't he? He got a goal out of nowhere and saved us points and won us games on his own almost. But yeah, it was a very mixed season. It was a season, you mentioned before, Mervyn, that, Arsenal now maybe been black and white under Arteta. That season was kind of black or white, wasn't it? We were either really good or we were absolutely awful. And that seemed to sum up that season. Just going back to the previous point, and Nigel says, at long last, a strong Arsenal clique in England national team. Yeah, that would be great if they all got to play. Indeed, Gary there says, Ben White signing for me is more about Arsenal spending 50 million when the midfield needed a lot of attention. Yeah, that's true. 26 million Gabriel should have meant there is more economical partner out there for him. Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, I think Ben White's going to prove to be a great player, but I agree the midfield, perhaps that money may have been better spent there. We've just got the Conga in, and that's it, where maybe we could have done with one or two more bodies there. But anyway,
we could have actually gone to France to get someone, couldn't we?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, could have done. Yeah, there's a few over there apparently playing quite well. But anyway, I mean, Andy, what were your kind of highs and lows maybe of that 2011-2012 season? Lots of both in that season, actually.
The low will have to be 8-2, I'm afraid. I know. I think even Ferguson come out that game and said, "I wish they stopped at 6." I think, and because he said we did have a lot of injuries, which was a bit unusual for him because he's quite ruthless as a manager. But I actually think he did say something along those lines. But then it got to a spending. We did buy, I think it was Mertesacker, Arteta, probably the best of the two. Like Melvin said, the lows of that is the amount of players, good players we let go is unreal. But I think that season was the start of the downfall for Wenger. He got away with it a bit that season. But higher points for me was obviously Van Persie. He did get, like you say, got us out of games like the Everton volley at home. Off the post was brilliant. He got that volley from that Song ball over the top at Liverpool in the last minute, which if we drew that game, I don't know if we would have got top 4 even, or top 3, 4, because I know Chelsea got to the Champions League final that year. The only time I thought we was going to get fought for the top 4 in the Champions League was when Arteta, funnily enough, scored that winner against Man City.
Man City, that's right, yeah. That was a good goal.
We really played well that game. And that's when I thought, do you know what? I think we might actually get Champions League football here, because that's the first time, I think, because we went on a run off, we beat Tottenham 5-2 as well. And
didn't we? Yeah.
And we went on that run, and then Arteta got that goal, and then I think we just nicked it from like Tottenham for 1 point, and then Chelsea went on to win the Champions League, and then Tottenham finished out the Champions League places because of that. So again, that's some of the highs and lows of that season. 5-3 against Chelsea obviously was a good one, but I went to the Fulham home game, and I think Vermaelen got an own goal, and then he scored the equaliser in about the 80th minute, and I thought that sums us up at the moment that season, and it still sort of sums us up now a little bit. But yeah, I think that was the start of the downfall for Wenger for me, because once Van Persie went, I thought he should have walked away a little bit from the club there. I think he should have stood his ground and said, if you're going to sell Van Persie at the end of that season, he should have walked away for me. But I think we got away with it a little bit that season, but we got Champions League football.
Yeah, we did. And I mean, and I do think a lot of that was down to the goals that Van Persie scored. And I mean, it was terrible the way he left as well was at the end of that season, and it went on to win the league with Man U the season after, which was even worse. But I mean, I think Van Persie was the highlight of that season. He was just fantastic, wasn't he? He was, at that time, he was probably the best player in the Premier League, wasn't he, at that particular time? And once again, we had at Arsenal, we were lucky enough to actually have such a great player playing for our club week in, week out, doing amazing things. And some of the goals he scored were just incredible, and such a great season that he had. But ultimately, I think him leaving was, I think that was maybe the last time I really felt that we had a competitive team actually that season. I know we had some poor results, but we could also beat the best teams, couldn't we? That Man City won the league that year. We beat them 1-0. We had some decent results. We won away at Chelsea. We won away at Liverpool. We could win those sort of games regularly. That was the last season I felt that I don't think any season since we've won away at Chelsea and Liverpool in the same season and beating the team that won the league. So, it just goes. So we had match winners, and it wasn't just Van Persie, mainly him, but we had other match winners as well. And obviously we did have Henry, didn't we? I remember him scoring a goal at Sunderland in this top as well, last minute winner, his last goal. When the club was there that day, that was just brilliant. An emotional moment that was when he popped up with that goal. So it had its great moments. I mean, Adam, you must have some good and bad memories of that season, mustn't you?
I do actually. Yeah, I mean, first of all, when I saw that shirt, it gave me nightmares and flashbacks. So I'll be quite honest with you. And God's honest truth, I've got that shirt. I've not worn it since we lost 8-2. Seriously. No, it was horrible that day. I remember it, and it was so
horrible. Yeah, but it was kind
embarrassing. It was just like
it's kind of an iconic moment, though. It's kind of an iconic moment in Arsenal's history, I think.
It was the next day when we went out and just signed like 5 players on the day, and it was ridiculous. But I remember also I was still getting over, like, Fabregas for me was one of my favourite players at Arsenal. When he left that summer, and I was still getting over that. And and then we went and got stuffed on the third game 8-2, and I was like, this is not fun anymore. I'm not enjoying this. But there's 3 things for me that stand out. One was the Henry goal against Leeds. I loved that night. That was brilliant. Like back, I sit in like the North Bank right above where he scored that, and I remember that it was just like it felt right. It was just like written in the stars. The Spurs 5-2. That was superb. That was the first 5-2, weren't it? And then the next season,
the first one.
Yeah, and like I remember the next season, I had a bet on 5-2, and I won a load of money, which was really good. We'll talk about that in another show. But you know what? One of the things I always remember saying that really come back to bite me on the arse, I don't mind sharing it now. Second game of the season against Liverpool, I think it was at home, our first home game. Frimpong started. Yeah. And I remember at half-time saying to the people who would listen to me around him, he's going to be a star, that kid. Because I thought he played really well that first half. He was
then he got sent off, didn't he? He got sent off in the second half.
That was it. You never really heard of him again. And he makes clothes or something now, doesn't he? But I just remember, like, I've been reminded of that a few times down the years, I've got to say. But I genuinely thought he would be good. He looked good. Like that first half against Liverpool, I'm thinking, God, he looks good. Where's he been? And that was it. Played one half, and
I mean, to be fair, the fact that you've now shared that with us, that actually to me is a highlight of that whole season. Actually, you saying that about Frimpong after in that game, so that's actually a highlight of the whole season. So I enjoyed that.
Completely lost his head and then got sent off. But yeah, I mean, it was a weird one because you're thinking of it like some of the results. I think we beat Blackburn quite heavily as well, 7-1.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I remember that game. I think being like brutally cold. I seem to remember it, and I seem to remember going on a proper session after actually for some,
Is that the one with Fabregas and the corner flag put it through Savage's legs?
Oh, that was...
No, Fabregas had gone by then, hadn't he?
Fabregas had gone by then.
Who was it put it through his legs? Someone...
Well, it was Rosicki or someone. It was Rosicki or someone, wasn't it?
Oh, another...
right. I can't remember.
It might have been Rosicki.
That was another player I love Rosicki. He was good that season when he was playing. Absolutely loved watching that bloke play. If he could have stayed injury-free, he could have been an absolute... legend for us. I think, fans love him as much as he is, but that season when he was playing, especially that Spurs game, the 5-2, I think he played exceptionally.
He was brilliant.
He scored the third, didn't he?
He did,
the front post, weren't it? It was lovely.
The poacher's goal.
I'll take third this season. If it means losing 8-2 one game, I'll take that to finish third.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we could lose. We lost 5-0, so maybe that would be losing 5-0 and finishing third. Maybe that might happen this season. Who knows? Might be a repeat. I mean, one kind of, 2 games kind of stand out a little bit as well for me was the Champions League games against AC Milan when we lost 4-0 over there, which was a dreadful performance.
That's right.
And then at Highbury in the second leg, we absolutely battered them, didn't we? We won 3-0. We needed to win 4-0. I think we missed so many chances. I think we were 3-0 up at half time, from what I remember.
Yeah, we were smashing them.
And we just battered them. We just couldn't get the goals in the second half. That was
all I remember is Van Persie from a yard out missing the goal.
Yeah, that one. Was that when we tried to chip it? When he tried to dink it over the keeper and he just sort of fluffed it, didn't he?
The goal was on the
deck. He needed to smack it, I think. If he smacked it, he would have gone in. I just think he'd try and be too clever.
We ran out of steam, didn't we, in that Milan game? We ran out of steam completely. Like, first half at home, we just put it in completely and we had nothing left in the tank second half.
We blitzed them, didn't we? It was unbelievable that first half, and you thought
Ibrahimovic was playing for them. I remember Ibrahimovic was playing for them, and the return leg, he couldn't get a look in, and he was just standing up front, like, what's going on? Yeah, he was getting a bit of stick. I remember that.
I have to say that first half against Milan was probably one of the best first halves I can remember from an Arsenal team ever. We absolutely battered them, didn't we? And we'd lost 4-0 away as well, so they weren't a bad side. And we've smashed them all over the pitch for 45 minutes. And Lee, I agree, maybe we went out of steam a little bit. We had a few chances, we could have got it, but yeah, that was frustrating. I just want to maybe get what your thoughts are really on. Obviously, Arteta joined the club that season. I actually thought he had quite a good season. I know he scored a few goals, got a few penalties. What did you make of him? First of all, Melvin, when we signed him, how did you feel about signing him, and how did you feel he did in that first season as a player?
I was so low at that time, Richard. I'd have been happy if we signed Santa Claus. To be honest with you, but, we're so demoralised with the United and all that. But I knew Arteta was a good footballer. He was a neat, intelligent footballer. So I didn't actually know what type of role he was going to play for us. I knew he was going to be a midfielder. But as time went on, I saw that he's a decent player. He never really excited the crowd as such. He did a job, and I suppose that was good enough. It was a time when we needed someone to steady the ship, and he was the right man for the job.
Yeah, he was, and that, I kind of agree with that. I thought he was a decent player enough, a decent enough player, but he wasn't an exceptional player going to take us to the next level, was he? He was just a decent player who did a job in the team, and I suppose he was a leader on the pitch as well. He was captain of the club as well. I mean, what did you make of him, Andy? And obviously, was you excited when we signed him, and did you feel he did okay to begin with before his injuries?
I'll agree with Mel. I was so low at that point on transfer deadline day. I just thought, let's get someone in. And then I seem to remember a few hours before the transfer window was closing, and we pulled out the deal, and we weren't going to get him. And I was sort of disappointed.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And then Wenger actually turned around and said, "No, we need to go and get him now because we need to replace Fabregas with someone." And I think he was sort of, for a last-minute deal, I suppose, he's the closest thing you're going to get. But I thought he'd done quite well the first season. Like I say, I think like Melvin said, neat and tidy. But like you say, he's never going to take to the next level. But again, I look at that I go back to the Man City game again. I think he was absolutely brilliant that game, and he had a lot of games like that in that season. So I think he actually done better than I was expecting.
Yeah,
and he did steady the ship. And again, you can't be a bad midfielder if you get like you say, like 8-2 with Man United. Then you play with him throughout the season, you get third in the league. I mean, he couldn't be that bad. No. I'm not just saying it's on him, but he couldn't have been that bad in midfielder because we lost Nasri and Fabregas.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, and that kind of shows, isn't it? As Melvin said earlier, we did lose a lot of good players that summer, and we signed some players that wasn't of the same level, but yet we still got decent results. And Arteta was a part of that, and I thought he did a good job that season, and maybe the season after as well. I thought he was pretty decent actually. So he did have a couple of decent seasons before the injuries maybe kicked in. I was actually quite excited when we signed him, but again, I think that's because of how terrible things were at the time. And you thought, well, we signed somebody, and you got excited even though it was Arteta. But to be fair, he did pretty well. I mean, what did you make of him, Adam, in that first season Arteta when he joined as a player? Better than when he was first season as a manager.
Yeah, I mean, I was excited when we signed Park, whatever his name was.
I don't think things were that bad, were they?
Yeah, I mean, at that time, I was just like, we needed bodies. Do you know what I mean? Anyone was good. I was excited about Andre Santos. He had a good name.
We all were at the time until we saw him play.
And they gave him the number 11 a shirt, and I thought, he's got number 11. I think he must have something about him. Nah.
Worst player ever.
So he was for me.
He could dance. After
he's 10 out of 10 for dancing, but
couldn't defend, which unfortunately was his job. But there you go.
Yeah.
I kind of what Andy touched on. For me, like we'd lost Fabregas, who I've just mentioned was one of my all-time favourites for Arsenal. I loved him, and Nasri, and it was a little bit underwhelming signing from losing those two to get in Arteta. But I did think he was probably the right signing at that time because we needed someone to be more steady. And I never really thought he let us down. He was always like a 7 out of 10 player. He never kind of went beyond that much and never really went below that. You always knew what you were going to get. He was tidy in midfield. You know, he never really went for the risky passes, let's say. He was kind of like the original El Neni, let's say, but maybe had a little bit more about him. Do you know what I mean? You kind of know what you're going to get with him. But I think for that team, he was a good influence on them because he was a little bit more experienced than some of the players we had around. He'd obviously played in the Premier League at Everton. And, I've got a couple of mates who are Everton fans. They still talk quite highly of him as a player. there, because he never lets them down. He's always puts 100%. And so, yeah, when we got him, I was quite happy. And I do remember, like you just said, about being pulled out of the deal, and I think, oh God, we're going to end up with no one. And I was relieved when we got him in the end. But yeah, I mean, I was quite happy with the way all of his Arsenal career. He didn't play towards the latter stages, but I thought first season was probably his best season. And then he was a good servant. Let's be honest, he never really stood out, but he was a good servant. He done what he needed to do. But I'm with you what you said earlier as well. Like Ben Ayoun, for me, I don't know why we didn't sign him on a free at the end of the season.
Yeah, I know.
Ridiculous. Like, he was great for us. But no, I mean, like Arteta, he was a good signing at that time. That's what I'd say about him.
No, he was, and like we said, he did a decent job, didn't he? And I think that we couldn't have expected any more than what we got from him. Really, he did what we brought him to do. I thought him and Mertesacker, as was mentioned before, they were the two signings that worked the best out of all those that we bought at that time. And both are still at the club now coaching. So obviously they proved to be good signings long term as well for the future of the club. So yeah, maybe it wasn't such a bad season really, and finishing third after the start we had was pretty good actually, I suppose. And we'd take that now, wouldn't we? I'm sure all day long. But yeah, maybe that was the start of the end for Arsene Wenger. Maybe that's when I think a lot of fans started to lose faith in what was going on at the time. And it was a slippery slope for a bit after that, wasn't it? Although of course we did win a few FA Cups, a couple of years later, didn't we? I suppose. But yeah, it was maybe a with Arteta coming in, with Wenger maybe on his way out, it was maybe a pivotal season perhaps in the modern history of the club perhaps. And that 8-2 at Man United was probably the turning point in our recent history when you look at it, because Arteta came in after that, and it was the start of the end for Wenger as well. So, but yeah, an important season in many ways, and one that brought some good memories and some bad memories, and but all part of life. And I like this shirt. I know Adam doesn't like it, but I do like this shirt. I've got a home
I actually like the shirt. It just brings back horrible memories. Like as a shirt, I think it's a really nice shirt. But
it's got that bad memory. It's also got the memory of Henry scoring that goal at Sunderland. So I can kind of forgive the shirt for the Man United game because of the Sunderland game. So
wasn't the Sunderland game? We had like the lighter coloured shorts and socks, I remember.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
and also, when Van Persie scored that winner at Liverpool, he was wearing his shirt as well. So there were some good moments with his shirt as well.
Thank you for reminding me. I might have to dig it out. So give it.
I think you should. I think you should definitely wear it again without a shadow of that, because it's a cool shirt. It's one of my favourite Arsenal shirts actually. So I just think of the good moments we had wearing it as opposed to the bad ones, and then it kind of evens it out really. Because the only bad one really was Man United, wasn't it? So
it was.
Blackburn, we won a red kit. The game that Melvin mentioned. Usually at this point we do all the predictions for this week's games, but there's no games this week because international break. But we will briefly. I've got the scores from last week, and actually somebody has broke the record. They've got the record weekly score.
That's got to be something, surely. Look his face. He knows already.
It was. I had a very, very poor week. I only got 3 points, so I was very disappointed with that. That was a terrible performance. I should be dropped to the bench after that. Dorsey did slightly better. He got 4, but not that much better. Adam again did slightly better again. He got 5, but Melvin's actually broke the record. He got 9. That's an impressive score for Melvin this week. 9 points for Melvin. Brilliant stuff that was. He got the correct score in the Chelsea-Burnley game, which everybody was surprised about when he put it on there. We all laughed at him, thought he was mad, and he got that one right. He got Crystal Palace against Wolves right. He got Manchester United against Manchester City right. The scores right. He got obviously the Arsenal result right, and also Southampton result against Aston Villa right as well. So yeah, and Everton Tottenham as well. So that will be a draw. So a brilliant week for Melvin there. Fantastic stuff. And yeah, I mean I've got a lot of work to do. So the scores on the board then for the season. Obviously Dorsey hasn't done it enough to really count. I've now dropped down to third with 57. Adam's on 58, and Melvin is impressively on 63. So he's pulling away a little bit, Melvin, now. So we need to pull him back next time. Obviously, we've got a week off from predictions this week because there's no games, but we'll be back obviously to do the predictions for the week after. That's going to be quite exciting.
I need to start following Melvin's tips on my betting slip.
And Seven FC there says, "Well done, Melvin." Yeah, I think he might have cheated. I don't know how he's done it, but anyway. And Seven FC says, "Did you put a bet on the pool?" Yeah, you maybe should have done with scores like that.
With Chelsea, yeah, definitely.
I mean, that was unbelievable. I remember when you put that result in, I was actually laughing, thinking, Melvin, what are you on? We all predict. I mean, Dorsey put 4-0 to Chelsea. We all put a Chelsea win. and then Melbourne puts 1-0, and what happens? It finishes 1-0. So brilliant stuff that was. And to be fair,
I'd rather
Adam
be
actually
lucky than clever, Richard. Rather be lucky than clever.
Well, maybe, yeah. And Adam did get Norwich to beat Brentford as well. 1-0. He said 1-0, and they did win. So Adam deserves credit for that as well. Only at 1 point, unfortunately. Probably deserves more than 1 point, but unfortunately, it's only worth a point. But that was a great guess as well, because everybody didn't. No one else went with a Norwich win. So yeah. So there was a couple of strange results, and a couple of you got them right. So well done, you guys. And I need to do better next week. Before we finish, I did want to look just ahead briefly to this actually. Obviously, Arsenal at the cinema, which is quite unusual. They seem to make quite a lot of films about Arsenal. What was Fever pitched before as well, but this actually is obviously about the Invincibles and stuff like that. I think they've had some screenings already, have they? Have you seen it yet, Melvin?
No, I've only seen is it a minute or 2 minute intro, which looks fantastic. Yeah. I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think is it next week? It's out of the cinema, isn't it? And a week after, it's on Amazon Prime or something, isn't it?
It's out on Thursday.
Is it this week? It's out.
Yeah, it's on Remembrance Day. It gets released.
Oh, brilliant! Wow. I mean, it's going to be.
I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic, isn't it? And I know we're all a little bit underwhelmed by Arsene Wenger's book. Actually, I was anyway. I know a lot of people I spoke to about it were. It didn't maybe give enough insight that we hope for. But I do feel that this film, from what I've heard, people that've seen it, early screenings and stuff, it does sound as though it's going to be not only fantastic but emotional as well. I mean, 89 was an emotional film to watch, wasn't it? You've got the shirt on there, Andy, which is great.
Yeah, brilliant
and,
shirt.
It's the greatest shirt ever, isn't it? Let's be honest, the greatest Arsenal shirt ever for the greatest moment in the history of football. So that was obviously an emotional film. I think this is going to be even more emotional, isn't it? With Arsene Wenger being the star, if you like, as well, isn't it, of the film? It's going to be fantastic. I mean, are you going to go to the cinema and watch that, Melvin? Do you think, or you might wait till it's on Amazon?
Oh, I'm on Amazon. I don't know. I'd probably wait. I'll probably watch it here. I'll probably watch it at home then. Because otherwise, I probably will watch it at home. I'm definitely going to watch it, whether I watch it on Amazon or watch it on cinema. 100%. Can't wait. Cannot wait. Yeah, trouble is, I know the ending.
I'll not spoil it for us.
I'm sorry.
But then having said that, in 89 we knew the ending, but it doesn't make it any less fantastic when you watch it again, does it? So I'm sure the ending of this will be just as good, even though we know what's going to happen. I mean, Andy, you're looking forward to that sort of film. Are you going to go to the cinema and watch it this week then?
Like Mel said, I will watch it there at home. Wherever I can watch it, I'm definitely 100% watching it because I want to see more insight to the man himself, really. And I can't wait to actually see it. And I think it'd be absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, no, it will. And obviously, to talk and to get a little bit more insight into that season as well. Again, we've been so lucky as Arsenal fans. I know we moan a lot and we're not very happy most of the time, but we've been fortunate that, we've had the 89 season with that fantastic moment. We've had the Invincible season. We've had last minute cup final winners. We've had, drama. We've had everything really as Arsenal fans. We had that night in Copenhagen and loads of great stuff. And, sometimes I feel bad about moaning when we maybe, when we draw 0-0 against Brighton and you moan about that, you're thinking we've enjoyed so many great moments that we should just be able to accept a 0-0 draw against Brighton. It's not in the rain. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know. I know it's not always as easy as that to just dismiss these things, but we've been fortunate. And this is another reason to remember how fortunate that we've been. I mean, it's going to be great, isn't it, Adam, this film? I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Like you said, I was a bit underwhelmed by the book. I was really looking forward to the book as well. And I both read the book and listened to the audio book, hoping it might be a little bit more effective from him. But it left me a little bit like, well, what was that about? Very disappointed. But I am really looking forward to the film. Like you said, I've watched 89 maybe half a dozen times, and every single time I cry. And I'm not afraid to admit that. I am really looking forward to it. I mean, I've got Amazon Prime, and I'm pretty sure it is out on the 11th, and I plan on coming in from work on Thursday and then just taking over the telly and watching that. Yeah, so that's my plan. I can't wait. I've heard it has been really well done. I heard on the radio this morning actually. I think he might have been a director. I can't remember who it is. Gabriel. What's his name? Anyway,
Coffee.
Not Marcotti, someone else. Anyway, I might be completely wrong. I heard him doing an interview with a radio presenter, and he was getting choked up talking about it on the radio.
Really?
And he was obviously mentioning that people like Alex Ferguson were like volunteering to get involved with it because of the respect they've got to each other. So it sounds like it's been really well done, really well researched. So it should be a decent. I like watching factual documentary films anyway, especially about Arsenal. I really like that stuff anyway. So when it's your own team and something that's been so close to you for so long, you can't not be looking forward to it. And I just hope it lives up to it.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Well, I've heard some good stuff about it from people that've seen it already, which is good. Chisel says, "Yeah, I might drag Andy to the pictures for that one." So there you go. You got a date there, Andy. So that's nice.
Yeah, thanks, Brian, mate.
And then he says, "My wife doesn't get the same treatment." Well, there you go. You see, privilege there, definitely, which is nice. I look forward to that. I'm sure.
Andy, what's wrong with me and you? Hey, Andy, we don't get offers like that. Do we? What's wrong about me and you? We don't get offers like that. Dragging to the pictures.
I don't. Well, that's the first in years, mate. She don't even offer me to go to the pictures anymore than my missus.
No, well,
I might have to take him up on that offer.
That's probably if you're going to go to the pictures ever, it's probably worth going for that, isn't it? Above anything else.
Exactly.
But I mean, I've got Amazon Prime, so I will probably watch it on Amazon Prime instead. But yeah, it is going to be fantastic, and I'm sure we'll all enjoy that. And it'll be something that we can obviously talk about as well, maybe on the show once we've all seen it, which I'm sure will be very soon. But yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, we obviously talked about Arsene Wenger just a minute ago, looking back on that season and the beginning of the end for him, but. I personally have always chosen to remember those first 10 years, really, probably the greatest 10 years that we'll ever experience as Arsenal fans, I think. I don't think anything will ever come close to that again. And, it's a shame how it ended, I guess, but something like this is going to be great for us to, to try and hopefully remember him in the right way, because, to me, that's how I always see him. And that's how I'll always remember him for those 10 years, really. And obviously the height of that, the peak of that was obviously that invincible team, which was, I still think, whatever anybody says, whatever Sky will have you believe, that's the greatest team to ever play in the Premier League by an absolute mile. Man United's treble team, a Liverpool team from a couple of years ago that played in front of no fans, and not a chance. Man City, won 3 league titles recently. No, I'm sorry, not having it. Not having that invincible team's best team ever to play in the Premier League, possibly even in the whole of English football history. Maybe I don't go back far enough to maybe make that decision, but they've got to be up there. And Sky can say what they like; it doesn't matter. Other fans of other clubs can say what they like, but that team was just amazing. It's going to be great to see how that was put together, how he put that team together as well. Because people say he couldn't have success without George Graham's team, but he kind of showed he could. He could build a team himself, and he did, and that was the result. So, I think we're all looking forward to that. That is going to be a fantastic.
Just to put on, Gabriel Clark was the one who directed.
Oh, Gabriel Clark, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, he was. He used to do stuff in the 80s, didn't he? Was it on ITV? He was on, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Gabriel Clark. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah. Has he done some stuff for that film? Has he? Then
he directed it. Yeah, I mean.
Did he? Wow.
Yeah, he's evidently done the Jack Charlton one. He done Bobby Robson.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Jack Charlton one. Yeah,
that was great. Yeah.
Did you watch the Jimmy Greaves one?
No, not yet.
No. Is that Jimmy Greaves one out? Is that on Amazon as well?
I think it's been out a couple of years, but it was shown again about a month or so ago. Just called Greavesy. Wonderful.
Yeah. Wonderful. I'll have to watch that. I love Greavesy.
Yeah, you can't help but love Greavesy. No, absolutely. I mean, you wouldn't have thought so, me being an Arsenal supporter, if you haven't noticed. But I went to his testimonial.
Yeah,
that's how much I liked him. I mean, I had so much respect for the guy.
Yeah, he was an absolute legend. There's no doubt. I think he's the greatest English goal scorer ever. Again, whatever Sky say about Alan Shearer, sorry, mate. No, Jimmy Greaves.
Don't keep mentioning Sky. I hardly watch that.
Well, yeah, I know, but they seem to think they invented football, and they clearly didn't. But anyway,
also what the weather's going to be like.
Well, they even get that wrong most of the time, don't they? So,
Sky, they should know about it, shouldn't they?
Well, yeah, they should do, yeah, but they can't even get that right. So anyway,
I mean, say when he walked into Arsenal, even like playing for Tottenham, he said he walked into Arsenal and they're on just a different level to even not Spurs. He just had to admit it, and they didn't like it. Apparently, Spurs like fans and players, which they wouldn't, but he's right.
Well, of course he's right. We've known he's been right for years, but anyway, yeah. I mean, he was a great character as well, and fantastic footballer. I mean, goal scorers, one of the best ever. I think I said the best English goal scorer in, I believe it, ever. So, but yeah, fantastic player and a great personality. Did any of you guys seen any of that interview with David Dean and Arsene Wenger? Was it last night?
No, I didn't.
No, I still haven't seen it.
I think it's someone phoned me before, told me when it's on. I think it might be on this Sunday.
I really want to see it. I really want to see it.
Yeah, I want to see it.
It might be on Sky. Not the Sky that we like. No, Sky this Sunday. I think
right.
so.
Okay.
I write things down. I don't know where I bloody write them.
Yeah, I do that. I wrote down all my stats about Arteta's first 100 games. I don't know where I've wrote them. I wrote them all down the other night, but anyway, never mind. But no, I mean, I want to see that as well because that'll be interesting. The interview that he did was it on the BBC a while back when his book was coming out, I think, and that was a good interview. Was it with Dan Walker, I think, wasn't it?
That's it, yeah.
That was a good interview as well. So yeah, definitely watched that as well. So yeah, Arsene Wenger's getting himself about a bit, isn't he? Since he quit playing football, he's certainly popping up all over the place, which is good to see. I still enjoy listening to Arsene Wenger, definitely. Well, that's another Tuesday clinic out the way, which was I enjoyed it. I hope you guys did as well. Melvin, did you enjoy the show? And where can people find you?
Yeah, only on Twitter really. That's the only one I do, and obviously on your show and Ryan's show and Andrew's show, but mainly on Twitter, as it says, Melvin, the only way is Arsenal Marks. Catch me on there, as they say.
Fantastic. I mean, Andy, been brilliant to have you on. As I've been wanting to get you on the channel for a while. Just give your channel a plug as well, because I love your channel. You do some great things over there. It's brilliant. I love watching it.
No, it's my pleasure tonight. Thanks for having me, guys. I've really enjoyed it tonight. Like I say, it's been whiles to get on, but I'm really pleased I did. Yeah, just anything Arsenal. You can catch us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and we've got our YouTube channel, Anything Arsenal. And it's just, we just do basically what we all do. Just chat about Arsenal. And hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's all about, isn't it? I mean, I love your show you're doing a pub and that. It just looks cool, and doing it a slightly different way and stuff like that is good. And I'll tend to watch whenever I can, and it's great to have you on the channel.
Thank you.
Tuesday says, great show tonight, guys. Everyone was top class. Thanks for watching. It's just great content as always. Hit the like and subscribe. If you are new to the channel, please think about subscribing. Gary DWTT says, great show, Richard, Melvin, Adam, Andy. Thanks for watching again, Gary. Thanks for your comments as well. And Adam, again, thank you very much for coming on. I know you had a few internet issues tonight. It sounded like you was in Russia or something like that for the first part of the show.
To be honest.
Satellite delay.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but a quick laptop change halfway through seemed to have done the trick. So I remember next week to make sure I'm using the right laptop. But yeah, apologies for that. It really happened, but it's the world we live in, I guess.
Well, technology, you can never sort of totally trust it, can you? Because it's always a second away from going wrong.
Well, I'll tell you something. I didn't want to say anything, Adam, but when you went on your first laptop and you're having problems, your name come up in Chinese.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if anything to do with that.
I have those kind of issues sometimes, but what can you do? I mean, I think it's the wife taking all the bandwidth or something.
Maybe that's what it was. But anyway, we did get there in the end. And I say that the satellite link from Azerbaijan or wherever it was we were struggling at the beginning. But
back in the UK next week, don't worry.
Back in the UK, that's what we need. I mean, just where can people find you as well, Adam, just in case they want to contact you on social media? I'm sure they do.
You can see me mainly on Twitter, Adam Always Arsenal, Adam792001, and here every Tuesday.
Yes, well, most Tuesdays, unless there's other things pop up on a Tuesday and we have to move the day like we did, was it last week or the week before, when someone decides to put a stupid game on a Tuesday, like an Arsenal women's game or something like that. But luckily this week it's on Wednesday, so we've got away with it. But yeah, so yeah, thanks to you guys. It's been great again as always, and some good positive stuff there. Obviously, Arsenal doing well at the minute, and we need to enjoy it while we can, because no doubt we're only one game away from it all falling apart again, I'm sure. Let's hope it's not that soon coming. I mean, a big game obviously next time in 2 weeks' time, as we said, against Liverpool. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, hopefully we can keep the run going, because it's been fun, and let's hope we can enjoy it for a bit longer. As for me on the channel, I will be back tomorrow, hopefully doing the watch along of the women's game. It kicks off at 5:45, which is quite early. And this week I've not been getting in from work till nearly 6 o'clock. So I'm hoping I can get an early finish tomorrow and I can be here for the start. But I will be doing a watch along of that game, hopefully for the start. But if not, as soon as I can, I'll be going live with that. I'll set the stream up anyway for about 5:30. Hopefully I'll be in for that, to do that one. And then on Friday it'll be the Arsenal women's show as well, where we'll look back on obviously the Champions League game, the win against West Ham, and also look ahead to North London derby on Saturday, Arsenal Spurs. That'll be a good game. And that's at 1:30 on Saturday, kick-off for that. And I'll be doing a watch-along of that as well. So that's going to be really good. And, of course, coming up very soon, it's the FA Cup final, Arsenal-Chelsea. I'll actually be at Wembley for that. So I'll be doing some stuff. I'll be doing some videos from Wembley as well. So that's going to be good. So loads of great stuff on the channel. So if you haven't done so already, I know most of you guys in the chat already subscribe. But if you haven't done, please consider subscribing, especially if you like the Arsenal women as well, because we do give them a lot of coverage. And I'll say tomorrow night, work permitting, I'll be here for the kick-off and the start of that game, which will be good. So join me for that if you can. And the Arsenal Women's Show on Friday. And we'll be back, as Adam said, next Tuesday with the Arsenal, the Tuesday clinic, the sensible Arsenal discussion, as I like to call it. I think it was sensible tonight, wasn't it? We had a sensible discussion about all things Arsenal, which is what we need. Obviously, Andy was bringing a lot more sense to the show, more than we normally get. So that's good to see.
Really? Bloody hell.
You set the standard now. It was a low bar, obviously, but you set the standard a little bit higher, so that's good.
Oh, fair enough. I'll take
that Deep line midfielder.
Exactly, yeah. Wearing the Michael Thomas shirt as well, which we like as well.
Only way to do it, mate.
Definitely a good choice of shirt that as well. And we've bought some good. I mean, I've got the 2011 one, which I know Adam doesn't like, but anyway, it's there and it's. I like it, so it's good. What shirt have you got on there, Adam? I know. What year is it?
This was 71. I think Liam Brady was that 71?
Not 71. No 71 was double year.
Charlie George, isn't it?
Charlie George, yeah.
That's not a Charlie George one then. It's that's the away one I've got. This is.
Is it 79? Maybe is it?
No, it's before that.
That reminds me of Stapleton. That's like
it does remind me of Stapleton, actually.
Stapleton shirt.
It's a bit warmer than the newer ones. So, getting cold now.
Yeah, it's a nice shirt, actually. I like the retro ones, actually. They're pretty cool. 70s and 80s are the best kits, I think.
This is the shirt I've worn to the last 3 cup finals we've won. So, yeah.
Well, it's a lucky shirt then, isn't it? Obviously. So, I'll have to borrow that for the women's final then to make it like 4 in a row, maybe.
Well, I'll tell you about my lucky stuff next week, actually. There's something that's occurred, but we'll save that for next week.
Oh, I see. Oh, there you go. This is a nice sort of like a trailer for next week's show, isn't it? Adam's going to reveal some secrets, which is be good. We look forward to that. That's going to be good. So that's all coming up next week, next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. So make sure you put your reminders on and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that. I mean, I thought the Arsenal women's watch-alongs were going to be good and a North London derby, but no, that pales into insignificance now next to Adam's revelation for next week. So next Tuesday is going to be a cracking show.
Monday night, I won't be able to sleep.
No, but you're not having a day off next week, Melvin. Don't be thinking of getting out of it next week now. You've had 2 weeks off. That's enough. Come on. More than enough. I'll say brilliant. Thanks to all you guys. Thanks to everyone watching, everyone in the chat as well. Some great comments as well from everybody there. I think I got through most of them. There was quite a few, and we were obviously involved in the show as well. So thanks to everybody for joining in. And I'll see you tomorrow night for the women, and on Friday. And obviously you guys will see us all next week for the Arsenal clinic, which has been great. And in the meantime, as always, we always go the same way. Come on, you Gunners. Come on. Thank you very much, guys. I'll speak to you soon. Take it easy. Don't forget to subscribe.